Well, Germany's Vice Chancellor has made a surprise visit to Ukraine. Robert Habeck traveled to Kyiv to show support as Ukraine runs short on weapons. The Ukrainian army is struggling to counter Russian missiles and drones while Moscow steps up attacks on energy infrastructure in Ukraine. Now, Germany, once a reluctant military supporter of Ukraine, is now the second biggest supplier of weapons behind the United States.
These are the systems that Ukraine says it desperately needs more of. Patriot missile systems that can shoot down aircraft, including drones. After an urgent plea from Kyiv, Germany a few days ago announced it will send a third such system to Ukraine as fast as possible. More air defence support for Kyiv is crucial, says the German government, as Russia's been stepping up the use of industrially produced rockets that can be launched off aircraft.
Patriot is one of those systems that can be used efficiently against the planes from which those glide bombs are launched. This is why this is about every single missile, about every single launcher.
Germany has been on a journey. Before Russian President Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion, Berlin's focus was on peace, offering Kyiv little more than headgear.
We will send 5,000 helmets as a very clear signal that we are standing by your side.
Since then, they've sent battle tanks, howitzers, Iris-T defence systems, 2 Patriot systems and more. Ukrainian soldiers are being trained on Leopard battle tanks in Germany. But for the government, there is a red line. Germany must not become party to the war. That's why when Ukraine asked for the powerful Taurus cruise missiles, the German Chancellor said no.
This is a long-range weapon that can travel up to 500 kilometres. It's a weapon where I think it's politically indefensible to make it usable for military operations without involving German soldiers.
The government's focus right now is on helping Ukraine defend its skies from Russian rockets. And ministers are taking that message to partners who they say should follow Germany's example and try and free up systems or even just some rounds of ammunition for Ukraine.
Our correspondent in Kyiv, Nick Connolly, asked the Vice Chancellor, Robert Habeck, about his impressions of Ukraine.
Well, there's a lot of pressure on the country, on the front line, on the energy system. And of course, 1 year of war makes something with the people. You feel it and you hear it everywhere. But I would say that still the mood is strong. It's really strong. And with everyone I talked to, there was a strong commitment. We are willing to continue to fight for our freedom. So yes, I feel the pressure. I can see it in the faces of the people sometimes if I talk to them. But it's not that I feel or I have noticed disappointment or the will to just give up. Nothing of that.
We've seen Russia destroying most of Ukraine's heating power stations in recent weeks, lots of conventional power stations. Do you think this can be stopped? And do you see other European countries apart from Germany willing to actually give air defenses?
Of course it can be stopped. They need air defense systems, more air defense systems. This is something the president asked me of, and I do it now publicly. Germany delivered another one, a Patriot system, and we are doing that as a first mover to ask others and to give an example that a little more everyone can do. And if you look at the number of Patriot systems other countries have, there are countries that have quite more Patriot systems than Germany has. So, but they are, I mean, if you look at the landscape, you see that they are not in a situation like Ukraine. So if we want to help Ukraine, we means the friends of Ukraine, we have to check all our systems and see if we can do more. And I'm sure we can. And that would take care of the power plants. And that would, if they had more ammunition, more defense systems, the disastrous strikes on the power plants wouldn't have happened.
Do you think that if these attacks continue, will Ukraine be able to be saved by power imports from the EU? I mean, can Europe keep the lights on here?
Well, I would say that now is a lot of pressure on Ukraine and on the front line, but over the spring to summer and over the year, the situation will ease. Then ammunition will pouring in. The Czech Republic bought a lot of ammunition on the world market. The German production is increasing. The Americans sure will deliver something. So now is maybe the most hardest time for them, and it will become better for Ukraine.
Is it getting harder to convince voters and lawmakers in Germany to pay attention to Ukraine, to find money for Ukraine? I mean, do you think Germany can take up the kind of gap left by the Americans?
Well, of course it is. We have to be honest, our attention and our focus is always the most concrete when something new has happened, and now they are 2 years in war, and I can understand if people are saying, okay, how long should the war last, and when is it ending, and can't we talk about something else? So yes, the attention is moving away or could move away, but therefore it's up to us, the politicians, and also to me, to come again to visit Kyiv, not only the months after the attacks, but now continuous support is needed in Ukraine, and you have to explain to the public again and again what is at stake. Yeah, you're right. Of course, Ukraine is fighting for its own sovereignty against an imperialistic Russia, but they are fighting for freedom. And what Putin can't bear is a liberal democracy in Ukraine. What Putin wants is to undermine liberal democracy, not only in Ukraine, but also in Western Europe. What he wants to achieve is a quarrel inside NATO, that we become not the strong partner of Ukraine anymore. So we have to be aware, and this has to be explained over and over again, that the fight of the Ukrainians is also our cause.
That sounds a lot to me like a plea for Germany to take a more prominent role, to maybe fill the gap left by America right now. Do you see that willingness in Berlin to take that responsibility?
Yes, it's there, and we're doing it. As, for example, with the Patriot system, and also with other goods. If you look to the statistics, we are number 2 after the Americans in military support. We are giving financial support. Also, the economic relation is really great. We have done a shift in my ministry. We have opened our investment programs for the country Ukraine in war. Countries in war normally are not part of. It's a kind of guarantee system. If companies are doing investments in Ukraine, they now fall under the guarantee umbrella. If a country is at war, the risk of default is very, very high. So normally we don't do it. We have done it, and now in overall 46 companies have invested in Ukraine, new investments in Ukraine. So we are doing a lot. But I would say that, as I said before, we all have to ask ourselves, is a lot enough? And a little bit more everyone can deliver, starting with the Patriot system.
Final, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Bye.